We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Let's take off the old glasses today. No, actually, my eyes are a little sore, so I'm gonna put the glasses on. Anyway, how is everyone doing? Huh? How is everyone doing? It is Tuesday, January 30th, 5 p.m. or 5:03 Pacific time, 8:03 Eastern time. I know my time zones, guys. I know my time zones. How is everybody doing? Huh? Who do we got in the chat? Who do we have in the chat? We got Hillhound21 says, I saw Gabe's latest video on Bobo. 2 thumbs up. Thank you. I much appreciate that. Deirdre says Harry Potter. You know, they are rebooting the Harry Potter's story. They're doing a I think they're doing a TV show, so they're doing a series on HBO or Max as they call it now. Guy, hi man with the last name Sanchez. Hello, Sue. How are you doing? Hello, Yogi. What's up? What is up? How's everybody doing? Awesome. Pat says outstanding and fabulous. That's what I want to hear. That's great. I'm grateful. I'm happy that you guys can be here. Okay. I'm going to take these off just because of the reflection of light right there. All right. So as you could tell from the thumbnail today, we're going to talk about my favorite, the one, the only David versus, well, not really David versus Goliath, but MAGA versus Taylor Swift. Now, in this story, Taylor Swift is a powerhouse, right? And MAGA are these little guys here, but you know that's why it's the opposite of the David and Goliath story. But you have MAGA. I mean, here we've got people like Benny Johnson, and we're going to go through Twitter right now because some of the things that I'm reading on Twitter, and I've already covered this before initially when it came to Charlie Kirk, it was Jack Psy-op, Benny Johnson, and there were some other people floating around. Laura Loomer was another one. But now that the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl, they really believe that Taylor Swift is somehow involved. It's a conspiracy that she is the one that it was all rigged beforehand because, you know, remember, they love a good rig storyline. That the Super Bowl was planned ahead of time, that she was going to go. We've got Mr. Pfizer, and we've got, I guess, whatever they call Taylor Swift in terms of her nickname. But we'll try to find Charlie Kirk in a moment. But they get so triggered by the idea that just two people could be dating, right? Two popular, famous people in their own industries, music and football, and they are incredibly triggered that they can't accept that reality. It's got to be made up. It's got to be made up. It's got to be part of Soros. It's got to be part of Pfizer. It's got to be the deep state, you know. So let's see if I can find this tweet by Benny Johnson. We'll kind of set the lay of the land here. We all know how much I love Benny Johnson, and by that I mean he's an idiot. But this is what they're doing. And remember, I've already done an episode or 2 episodes on this, and I'm going to do another one. We're going to cover some of the same stuff, but also we're going to cover new stuff because they've really leaned in to this idea that Taylor Swift is a psy-op. Okay, so let's just follow along with the logic, or rather lack thereof. All right, so right now we've got Benny Johnson, or as I like to call him, little Benji. Benji is so great in that he always entertains us and he provides us with limitless limitless, just endless, infinite amount of content. All right.
Talking about Swifties, Taylor Swift fans sort of worship this artist kind of like at random, right? Like just out of the blue, suddenly Taylor Swift's the most famous person on earth. Now she's at every NFL game.
Okay, first off, let me just fix the volume because I don't know how loud it is for you guys. But the idea that Taylor Swift is all of a sudden the most popular person, let's just roll that back real quick.
With her boyfriend, sort of worship this artist kind of like at random, right? Like just out of the blue, suddenly Taylor Swift's the most famous.
Okay, all right. Let's just go back here. At random, out of the blue, suddenly she's the most famous person out there. I'm not even a Taylor Swift fan. I mean, I occasionally listen to her songs now and again if it's on the radio or I'm at a party or something. Now, I'm not a deep like Swiftie. Like, I'm part of that crew in the sense of like I like the music and I support what she's pushing in terms of her content and her narrative, which is basically just be kind to one another. And when it comes to politics, she's not telling you who to vote for. She's just telling you, hey, go register to vote. And she also might say, hey, I'm supporting Joe Biden because he follows these ideals and morals and ethics that I have. We are aligned. She's not telling people to go vote for Joe Biden. She's just expressing her own interest to say, like, you guys should go educate yourselves on what the candidates that you want to support. You should go register to vote. Again, nothing political there. That's literally just saying go register if you're not already registered. And if she does come out to say, hey, you know what? I want to support Joe Biden. She's not telling anyone or forcing anyone, or like when you go to one of her shows, she's not being like, hey, you know what we got to do? All of us right now, we got to commit. We got to get a Swiftie. We got to get a bracelet that says Biden 2024. No, she's not making anyone do that. She's not forcing anyone to do that. And the idea that Taylor Swift is now all of a sudden some popular person out of the blue, like it was fabricated out of thin air. No. I mean, if anyone remembers, Taylor Swift would hang around with Justin Bieber because that is they had the same representation in terms of manager, right? Scooter Braun. There was the whole Scooter Braun Taylor Swift fallout, which was he held the Masters, so that's why we have these like new versions, Taylor's version and whatnot. There was that duel that happened, and it revealed that Scooter Braun was a bit of an asshole, right? And was doing stuff out of vindictive reasons. So what we have here is an idiot, Benny Johnson, but we already knew that. But Benny Johnson here is now coming up with this theory that nobody knew who she was before the NFL. Nobody knew who she was before 2023. Okay. Let's watch the rest.
Famous person on earth. Now she's at every NFL game with her boyfriend, who's backed by Bud Light and Pfizer. Travis Kelce is this guy who also kind of out of the blue became this big-time celebrity, really rich, really powerful. Why? He's a tight end. He's like a glorified lineman. That doesn't make any sense. Tight ends aren't famous people in football. What are you talking about? What world are we living in? Sure seems planned. Sure seems like something that is like concocted in order to accelerate the fame of these two people, get them to the Super Bowl, the largest screens on earth, get maybe like a proposal after the game. This is what I think is going to happen. There's going to be like some type of proposal after the Super Bowl is rigged for the Chiefs. And then the two of these people reach like crazy levels of absolute fame. And then they take all that fame that has been given to them by the rotted corporate press, media, entertainment industry that explicitly backs Democrats. And then they use that in order to try and save Joe Biden. They take all that and then they pour it in. And you'll see in October the release of like what will look like a hostage video or a Visiting Angels ad, right? Visiting Angels. And I'll have Joe Biden sitting there all like twisted up, like in a wheelchair, like an eggplant. And he's glazed over skin like a Krispy Kreme donut. They're drooling out of the side of his mouth. And Taylor.
The idea that Donald Trump would not be someone who is drooling. Remember, this is. I just want to remind everyone. This is a reenactment. This is here. Let me pull full screen here. This is a reenactment of Donald Trump. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, I'm giving a speech. Okay, excuse me. Okay, I'm gonna go down that ramp in a second. But hold on. Okay. Wait. Okay, hold on. Oh, that's good. That's some high quality H2O right there, okay? Remember, Donald Trump is the one who can barely drink water out of a glass, okay? 2 hands. Okay, guys, okay, just look at me, okay? Little sippy cup here. Oh, daddy needs the water in the tummy, okay? Donald Trump, I can carry with 2 hands. Remember, Donald Trump, multiple occasions. He was also the one who literally couldn't say, I can't say yesterday or Wednesday, was it? The idea that Donald Trump can't say words, the idea that Donald Trump, has to go around and use his little hand, and he's like, excuse me, okay, excuse me, very rude, okay, very rude, okay. You just gotta have my water, use my 2 little hands, jerk them off. Donald Trump is someone who, as we've seen in his speeches, because the guy decides to do all these rallies, he's unable to have a coherent thought. He can't put together some declarative sentence if his life depended on it. The guy struggles at every moment during his speech. Oh, Nikki Haley, Nikki Haley, Nikki Haley, when really he means Nancy Pelosi. He goes after random people. He goes after Obama, but really he means Biden because it's all connected in the deep state. And then he'll go after other people, confusing who they are. He forgets family members. He forgets people that he worked with. It really is the guy, when he makes fun of Donald Trump, who, by the way, right, he's like, oh, look, I got a photo of his mugshot. These people are deranged, man. The obsession that they have around Donald Trump, the cult-like status where they're like, oh, yeah, this guy was taken, he had a mugshot taken, or this person was arrested. I mean, just in not the one that I just released today, but I think a day or so ago, I released an episode on Lauren Boebert doing her debate where she ultimately just crashed and burned. And in that one, they said, has anyone here been arrested? 6 out of 9 people raised their hand, and they did so proudly. Like, they were like, yeah, they were like high-fiving and shit. They were like cheering people in the audience, like, yeah. What happened to Law and Order? What happened to Law and Order? What happened to Just Comply? What happened to Back the Blue? What happened to, follow the rule of law? What happened to those things? These are people who are all of a sudden taking up arms and be like, yeah, we're breaking the law. We are arrested. Lauren Boebert at one point, she's like, can we say how we were arrested? Can we say how we were arrested? And then she's like, oh, it's for an unpaid parking ticket. No, you do not get arrested for that. You do not get arrested for an unpaid parking ticket. The extent or the degree, the intensity that you would have to have something like, oh, I didn't pay a parking ticket. Well, typically the routine is, I don't pay a parking ticket. They send you a letter to say, hey, just so you know, you have an unpaid parking ticket and it's due by this date. If you don't pay it by this date, it's going to go up 100% on what the original one is. Then what happens is if you don't pay that one, they say, okay, we're going to fine you again. And the fine continues to be added on. Now, they will, to a certain point, they will continue to tell you, we're going to keep fining you, and they're going to tell you the schedule of the fine. Then you get to a point where you'll have not only the tickets, but a boot will be put on your car. So the idea that Lauren Boebert is trying to be like, oh, it's for an unpaid parking ticket. No. I would like to know how many unpaid parking tickets or how many fines on a parking ticket on top of a boot would require for you to get arrested. Like, how long until there's a warrant out for your arrest because you didn't pay parking tickets? That is not a thing, okay? And if it was a thing, I would imagine it'd be a very, very, very long time before it actually went into effect. Jeffrey Johnson, have you had any parking tickets? Yeah, I've had some parking tickets. I've had parking tickets. I've gotten a parking ticket for parking on the wrong side of the street when they're street sweeping. And then I try to obviously go in and say, oh, no, it wasn't clear coverage, or there wasn't, the sign or whatever. You can make a bunch of excuses to see if at any point, maybe somebody in the graces of God will give you a lucky break and say, you know what? We won't charge you for this. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. I've, luckily never gotten it, knock on wood, never gotten it to a point where I've never paid a parking ticket for a long period of time where I've gotten a boot. And then on top of that, also had a warrant out for my arrest. It just doesn't happen. Because at some point, you're either going to blatantly ignore it and hope that it goes away, which it never will, or you just weren't aware of it. And that's very unlikely considering how many times they notify you for those sorts of things. So this whole idea that Lauren Boebert was like, oh, it was an unpaid parking ticket. Bullshit. We have to remember that Lauren Boebert, if you look at her actual rap sheet, she was arrested and she had court dates and she, no shows as well. Jason Boebert, we know that he obviously, exposed himself, aka he showed his penis to 2 underage girls. The third one being Lauren Boebert, who was Lauren Opal at the time. She said, you know what? I'm going to marry that man. And that man's going to have my babies. And then later on, that man's also going to be abusive with my babies. And I'm not going to press charges against him. I'm just going to move to another district to give my family a fresh start. When really, if you're a parent, and I am not, so, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I would imagine if I was someone in politics and I had a family and my drama and my shit was on display for everyone, I would probably at one point really assess to say, hey, maybe this isn't for me right now. I want to get my house in order and my family safe and them comfortable in their current situation to really have a fresh start. Then maybe later I'll come back into politics. But Lauren Boebert is someone who's an idiot and a narcissist. She cannot imagine a time or when she wasn't a representative, because we all know that after 5 years, that's all it takes, at least 5 years, you are eligible and become active for a government pension. And at that point, I think it's like 14 to 17,000 or so like that. The longer you serve, the more you earn. But I think the minimum of 5 years, I think you earn like 16 or 17,000 per year when you retire, that you're eligible for the pension. So Lauren Boebert is really hoping, she's really banking on this idea that she's going to be a congresswoman from Colorado's 4th, which, by the way, if anyone's been following or followed my What Was That on her, she placed 5th in a informal straw poll out of 9 people, okay? 9 people, she placed 5th, middle of the pack. She's not MAGA enough. She's not what they're looking for. And not only that, but she's also coming with a bunch of stigma. She's coming with a bunch of baggage with her, right? She was jerking a guy off in a theater in Denver when she went to go see Beetlejuice. She has had family issues, right? She has allegedly had an affair with the cook at a restaurant, which has now been shut down, but also had an affair with who they call the ramen shaman, Sean Foyt, I think if I remember his name. He's a pastor, one of those MAGA pastors, just another grifter. But here's the thing, okay? This idea that MAGA celebrates breaking the law now and criminals, it's insane. Really, Anyway, which comes back to this original point of Benny Johnson, for whatever reason, now realizing that Taylor Swift is super famous and she came out of nowhere, and it was all a psy-op by the government, by Joe Biden's administration to get them to vote for Joe Biden. And the reason I brought it up because I was looking at a set here and we've got Donald Trump, right? The idea that these people celebrate the very thing that they critique and shame others for. So remember that. They shame others for the very thing that they do themselves, okay? Whether it's someone had an affair and they had a mistress and they want to get an abortion, even though they, voted against or rather supported Roe v. Wade being overturned. You've got people like this, Benny Johnson, the rest of MAGA who are like, hey, never surrender, even though he literally surrendered Donald Trump at every point when he went in for his arraignments he had to surrender so he could get his booking done. And then on top of that, you've got these people that are, save the children. Save the children. We got these pedophiles. Well, it turns out that they themselves are the pedophiles. Surprise, surprise. They're the ones. You've got Matt Gaetz being investigated with the ethics committee right now for, again, this alleged sex or rather sexual encounter, we'll say, with a 17-year-old girl. This is the one that was brought up by the DOJ, but was later stated that they weren't going to press charges. It is yet to be determined if they dropped the case and they were still investigating. But along the way, they were continuing. There were whispers of it happening with the ethics committee. That's why Matt Gaetz ended up pushing out and ousting Kevin McCarthy. It's not for his politics, but it's because Kevin McCarthy said, I do not have control over this ethics committee, even though it's Republican. It's got a majority of Republicans. Remember, it's an independent body that cannot be controlled in the manner of like directing investigations or what the end results will be. So Matt Gaetz got upset. He ousted Kevin McCarthy. Remember, it's all projection. Each of these people all project their own things, and the louder they yell about it, the more likely those very people are going to be guilty of that thing. Look, I'm just saying. They scream about violence and they scream about babies and abortions. They scream about pedophilia and sex trafficking. Like, you look at all of these things, you look at, they yell about voter fraud. You find out that it's Republicans that are voting multiple times, or they're trying to interfere with the election in the 2020 election. It's all projection. Remember, for the GOP, the Republican Party, whenever they yell about something, whatever they, project towards someone or make a claim about something, it's really just a confession. Remember, it's just a confession. The people who are screaming the loudest from the GOP are the ones that we should probably be looking into, like, now. But it's always that way. Projection is off the charts 1,000% every bit of the day. Look at the border. The border is another example. And we'll get into that in a moment. The border is another example where Republicans have, Jesus Christ, they have cried and yelled and bickered and punched and screamed, and they've sent migrants on buses all the way to Chicago, to New York, to Martha's Vineyard. These are people, innocent people, who are seeking asylum, who come to this country looking for a better opportunity because they were told that they could have that they could see that, they could find that here, the land of opportunity, America, the land of the free, right? Home of the brave. The idea, it's just, these people will send innocent migrants on buses to freezing cold places and then say, we totally own the libs there. How did you own the libs? How did you own the libs? Tell me how you own the libs there. Because you sent a bunch of people who maybe, most likely, depending on where they were looking to go, were going to end up there. But not only that, you did so in a way that was anti-Christian, anti-humane, really. You sent a bunch of people, told them one thing, and then did another, right? A bait and switch, no supplies, no protection, nothing. And you put them on a bus to a freezing cold area. And a lot of the time, you guys did it during Christmas. Like, how fucking insane is that? So when you look at the border situation, you have Republicans who are like, oh no, we gotta protect the border. We gotta clamp down. We cannot let illegals come across. We can't let these migrants come across. We gotta put razor wire in the river. We gotta put razor wire on the riverbed. We gotta put it right when you get over the border. Okay, that's really fucked up. But let's say that, hey, Democrats, which they have, said, we're going to work with you. Let's bipartisan bill. Joe Biden has said many, many a time now, give me a fucking bill and put it on my desk. Give me the bill, put it on my desk. I will sign it. I will give you the money, the resources, the funding, whatever you guys need, the people, whatever you need. I will give it to you. And then people like Speaker Mike Johnson and others are like, oh, actually, we can't, we shouldn't, we didn't really mean it that way. And the reason is because Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the one who wants to leave it on the ballot. He wants this to be a ballot item, a conversation point that he can point at Joe Biden and say, this is your fault. But these are the people that complain about fentanyl coming across the border, which is seized, by the way. It's almost as if Republicans don't know what words mean. I mean, again, look at Lauren Boebert. She learned a new word, which was coronation, and, doesn't realize that that word is meant to be the crowning of a king or queen. And even when it's used in a non-monarchy way, it's done so in a sarcastic way. It's done so to target celebrities and politicians who do that. So she didn't even if she was using it in that way, she used it wrong. She's an idiot. Republicans are dumb. They're just dumb. They don't know how to use words. They don't know definitions. They don't know how to construct a sentence together. And then they come up with these crazy theories because the guy dating the girl who supports the ability to vote in the election is going to the Super Bowl. That's their theory, right? Because if we look at little Benny Johnson here, he's got, let's see, he's got a tweet here where he really gets into the conspiracies. This fucking twat. All right. Look at this. Ready? The CIA rag, currently ran by founder of DefenseTech.org, a military contract site, is jumping at Tay-Tay's defense against allegations she's a tool for the Pentagon. Remember, I covered this before with Charlie Kirk and Jack Posobiec. They said, oh, she's a tool. She's a psy-op for the Pentagon. The fucking Pentagon. It's just, because then you have stuff like this. Ready? We're going to, oh my God. All right, here we go. I hope you're all ready to go down the fucking, fall down the rabbit hole with me, please. You ready? Here we go. Benny Johnson says, by now everyone knows Taylor Swift is a government psy-op. Where is the proof? Where is the proof? Please show me the proof. I have yet to see anything. Yes, I will. To Cynthia's point, I will talk about the rap. I have to be careful that I don't play too much of the song because I'm going to get dinged. Because I'm currently writing an episode about Ben Shapiro doing his rap with that Tom McDonald or whatever. It's so bad. Anyway, we'll get to that in a moment too. All right. By now, everyone knows Taylor Swift is a government psy-op, and this is exactly why corporate media is having a meltdown about it. Are they having a meltdown? Are they? Look, let's just make this clear. A lot of these guys, and I use guys very loosely, Don Jr. quotes here. A lot of these Republican guys, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec, Don Jr., Benny Johnson, whoever else it might be, these are all people who, mind you, they're busy grifting, okay? So they're always chasing the money. They always got to follow the money on how we can create division. We can fake outrage, right? That's something that Dr. Rachel Bitecofer and Tony and I talk about all the time, which is fake outrage. And this is what it is. They're creating fake outrage and some of these people like Benny Johnson probably actually believe this because that's how dumb they are. But they're creating this fake outrage so they can drive clicks and drive views and eyeballs to the content they have. And in addition to what's going on, they're hoping that they can continue to sell items and products. Oh, make sure to get, my subscription service so that you do this. Make sure to buy in for this swag. Make sure to get this merch. Make sure to do this, do that. Look, if anyone's going to spend any money, okay, oh my God, it should not go to these guys, right? I mean, shit, give it to me, man. That way I can run this show and have a team here. And that's what I'm hoping to do this year in 2024. But Benny Johnson is grifting. And so they're pushing this insane conspiracy that I covered before Christmas. Remember this. Before Christmas, we were covering this on the show. 4 years ago, the Pentagon Psychological Operations, or PSYOP, unit pitched NATO about turning Taylor Swift into a social influence asset. Where's the proof? Where is the damn proof? What is it? What is it? What is it? In 2019, George Soros bought her entire music catalog. In 2020, she came out as a raging liberal Joe Biden supporter. No, she didn't. Oh my God. You want to see? Okay, I'm going to show you how raging of a liberal Biden supporter she was. Ready? This is what it is. This is what she did. This is Taylor Swift. This is how raging of a supporter she was for Joe Biden. Get ready. I hope you're ready. That is how raging she was. She sent a photo and she's like, I'm endorsing Joe Biden or I'm voting for Joe Biden. Again, she's not forcing anyone to do anything. She's not telling you have to vote for Joe Biden. She knows that her demographic, the people who, she's a country girl who made country pop songs and now makes pop songs. She plays the acoustic guitar. Like the people that supported Taylor Swift before this were MAGA. These are MAGA people. Oh, my daughter, my MAGA daughter, whatever it might be. Like these are people that supported Taylor Swift before all of a sudden she became a raging liberal Joe Biden supporter. But this is how raging she was. She made cookies and then she posted it to Instagram. Then the other time was in 2018 and then we also saw during the documentary about her where she said, I don't believe in Marsha Blackburn. She doesn't support women and she doesn't support our rights. If you compare the things that Taylor Swift has done in her time as a influencer in many ways, a social influencer or, whatever you want to call her, she's done a lot. Donated, food drives, charities, organizations, shown up for people, help them out when it comes to their time in need. Because again, remember, Republicans will never, ever extend a helping hand like Jesus did. No. That's not what Jesus did. No. That's some socialism. Oh boy, do I have a story to tell you. So when Benny Johnson says, oh man, this is raging. She's raging. She's a raging liberal Joe Biden supporter after previously being politically neutral. No, she wasn't. Even before Joe Biden got into office in 2018, she was speaking out. She also just made an Instagram post that said, hey, I don't support Marsha Blackburn from a state representative or a U.S. representative to a U.S. senator. No, what she ended up doing was saying, hey, I'm supporting this person in contrast to Marsha Blackburn. And the reason I believe that it should not be Marsha Blackburn is because she doesn't support women. She hasn't done anything. She takes away our rights. She doesn't support Roe v. Wade. She does, abortion, this and that, like bodily autonomy, like number one issue for women. She doesn't support that. So Taylor Swift spoke out. That was 2018. So I don't understand what's going on here. Like he's missing a date of when she actually entered the political spectrum or like game, whatever he wants to call it. She wasn't politically neutral. She had her ideals out there and expressed them. But way before. So supposedly in 2020, she was triggered, she enabled, and she came out. In 2023, her Eras Tour raked in higher revenue than the GDP of 50 countries. And so did Beyonce. I don't understand what's going on. Like, I think Beyonce was like, let's see, was Beyonce Renaissance? I just covered this in the other one. I think it was like 1.6 billion. What was it? As of October, it was 600 Beyonce's Renaissance concert tour earns $579 million. Okay. That's just Beyonce. Now, I'm almost positive this number isn't totally right because I think it's more than that when you accumulate all of the other effects and impacts it had on the economy. I want to say it was like 1.6. Let me confirm. Give me one moment. Hold on. Let's see. GDP. Here we go. Sorry, I was way off. It's 4.5. All right, here we go. Beyonce's Renaissance World Tour says about the economic impact of Black women. Okay, ready? Oh, MAGA's not going to like this one. All right, if I go through. Here we go. Ready? By the end of the tour, Beyonce would have contributed about $4.5 billion to the economy, to the American economy, a figure comparable to the economic impact of the 2008 Olympics on Beijing. Okay? Just understand what's happening here. One woman, an icon, a legend, a powerhouse, went on tour, and just in the American economy alone, she generated $4.5 billion. Okay? That was the Renaissance tour. And I think when it comes to Taylor Swift, it was, let's see, people also need to realize that these two people, independent women, generated so much stimulus for our economy when we needed it the most. People have to acknowledge the fact that coming out of COVID and the lockdowns, the economy was slowly growing. The things that we only had to, when there was not only that, but there was the writer's strike, there was the actor strike. Those had a negative impact on local economies where people would film, unions, studios, things like that, where cities and towns that benefit from either having people come in, right? You have catering that happens, you have lodging that happens, you have other activities that are promoted and generated through the movie industry. And during that time when we really needed it most, we had two powerful people, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and they went out and they did these tours. And not only did people fly to, I know people that flew to other locations. I know people who flew from here to Arizona. I know people who flew to other states to go see it because they're like, oh, I can't see her here because of whatever reason. So I'm going to fly to this other spot because it makes sense and I really want to see her. That is the amount of following and the influence that they have. Now, MAGA and people like Donald Trump and Don Jr. and Charlie Kirk and Benny Johnson, they're all afraid. They're all afraid because they know that they can drive thousands, if not millions of people who are now able to vote to the polls. They're not telling them how to vote. They're not saying go to the polls, vote for Biden. No, they just said if you are of age, 18 or older, register to vote and make sure your voice is heard. You had Billie Eilish. She was in Texas and she was like, there's a video I saw the other day where she was like, I almost didn't come to Texas because of what they did. But then I realized that if I didn't come to Texas, I wouldn't be here to help and support you guys. If I just left you, like if I abandoned you, I'd be doing the same thing that people like Ted Cruz and Greg Abbott have done. But I wanted to come here to say, fuck you to the GOP of Texas and everywhere else. And also, it's my body, my choice. And we also have to remember that Texas, by the way, you got Greg Abbott who's like, we're going to secede. We're going to separate from the U.S. Okay, dude, good luck with that one. Would love to see how your economy grows. You have a state that is so wide, it takes you hours to get across. Your grid, your power grid is privatized and it crashes almost every single time There's some sort of storm. It browns out multiple times during the year that people don't even hear about, especially for people who live on the outskirts of the state. And you want to think that you can survive without government aid? Anytime. Look at Ted Cruz. He didn't want to give money to New Jersey or New York, during Hurricane Sandy. And then as soon as, a snowstorm came into Texas and they really needed help, they're like, please, Joe Biden, give us money. And Joe Biden's like, yeah, of course I'll give you money because you're an American. I'm not gonna say no to you because you're Republicans. Now, you might have insanely dumb ideas and no morals or ethics, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to support you. So the idea that Texas, by the way, they're going to separate, oh, good luck with that, okay? Good luck with that. You can't also do it, okay? It's illegal. You won't be able to pull it off. Literally, you cannot. So we have Taylor Swift, who is causing a mental breakdown. These people are like just falling apart at the idea that Taylor Swift is just telling people to go vote, or not even go vote, but just go register. I mean, like, again, it's a woman who's in her early 30s, right? Mid 30s. I think she's around my age, where she's like, hey, go vote. Go voice your concern, your support for someone, make sure you put it down on the ballot. Make sure your voice is heard. Because as a citizen, that is your right. Now, some people, like Matt Walsh, will tell you that those aren't inalienable rights. You do not have those rights as a citizen. And I don't think I need to say it any louder, but people like MAGA, Benny Johnson, Donald Trump, Don Jr., Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Paul Gosar, Matt Gaetz, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, which we'll touch on in a second. These are all fascists, which is funny when you think of like Ben Shapiro, someone who's Jewish, is supporting fascism in this country, but it's insane to think about because this is the very party that Donald Trump openly expresses, hey, you know what? Only on day one, I'll be a dictator. I'm only for a day one, I'll be a dictator. Okay, only the first day, I'll be a dictator. And then after that, I'm done, okay? Wash my hands. Excuse me, wash my hands, okay? Don't want to be a dictator just for 24 hours. But these are the people that are openly cheering and chanting for Donald Trump to be a dictator, to be a fascist, to take people's rights away. Women, it starts with your bodily autonomy. Then we go, you know what? Man, suffrage. That was a big mistake. We should have never given you guys the right to vote. That's what Republicans want. Matt Walsh, again, he is someone that doesn't want women to vote. He doesn't believe that women have the right to vote. Republicans want women to be barefoot in the kitchen making you a sandwich. That's what they believe. And also pumping babies out. That is what Republican men believe that a woman's role is. A woman's role is only to make babies and make sandwiches and also clean up. And so when they see Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and Billie Eilish, and all these other people who have a strong audience of women that support female empowerment, and also, men who are there to support that as well, right? They get upset and they get very triggered because they're afraid that they're going to lose the control, right? They're afraid that the majority of people who believe that people should have these rights and access to healthcare, education, financial literacy, like all of these things, they're afraid that their minority is going to lose control of the majority. They're afraid that the majority is going to then actually be of the people, by the people, for the people. because we know that Republicans don't actually believe that at all. It's, I want my rights and you don't have your rights, right? Rules for thee, not for me. Like, I have certain rights that protect me, but you other people, whether you're a woman or you're of color or you're poor or whatever it might be, Republicans don't want to give them the same rights that they have. And I'm sure at some point, then you'll have people talking, you have Matt Walsh and other bigots talking about, oh, you know what? We got to get back to those 3/5 rule, Yeah. Let's just say that white people are 100%. They have all the rights. I mean, that's what it's going towards, right? It starts with one thing. You even had Clarence Thomas when they overturned Roe v. Wade. Even he, without, okay, I just want people to understand this. When Roe v. Wade was overturned in June of 2022, and their opinion came out, Clarence Thomas, without anyone prompting him on this, without anyone saying, hey, we should probably discuss the next topics that relate to this. He just went out and was like, we should talk about same-sex marriage and interracial couples, which, by the way, if no one was aware of this, Clarence Thomas is in an interracial marriage with Ginny Thomas. Now, I don't know if it's because Clarence Thomas thinks that he's a white guy, if there's like a Clayton Bigsby thing going on right now. I have no idea. We know that he loves billionaires. We know that he loves conspiracies and, obviously coups because he's married to his wife, Ginny Thomas, who's just fucking out there. But this is the Republican Party. They are so incredibly triggered by strong, independent, influential women who, by the way, are not telling you anything that you should do anything. They're not telling you to vote a certain way. They're just telling you, go vote. You have the right to do it. Do it before you lose it. Because honestly, it is one of those things like use it or lose it. I mean, we've really come to a point here in life where, in a very sad way, that this idea of like, if you don't use it, then you'll lose it. And it sadly is becoming true. If you do not go out and vote, if you do not campaign, if you do not vote in your local elections, your state elections, your general election, these are things where they're like, great, you know what? If we don't have enough people out there voting for the democracy and supporting these rights and programs, then we'll be able to get by stripping these things away. And you've seen Republicans do that over the last 6 to 8 years, slowly stripping. We're going to strip away Obamacare. We're going to strip away these. We're going to overturn Roe v. Wade. We're going to strip away government funding for education. We're going to strip away government protections on the EPA. We're going to strip away regulations that would prevent, a train derailment with chemicals, toxic chemicals. We're going to strip away all of these things that were meant to protect you and say, we're going to live in a society where we have all the money and we have all the protections and we have all the rights. And all of you people who voted for us to strip those away, yeah, you also don't get those things that we get. Which is the sad truth of the Republican Party. Their supporters do not think ahead because no one in the Republican Party future-proofs enough to say, oh, if we do this thing, what will happen, right? They're continuing to go after Roe v. Wade in the sense of taking credit for it. Donald Trump can't shut his fucking mouth about it. He has to continue to take credit for it. It's a losing issue. The Republicans have lost in 2018, 2020, 2022, and they're going to lose again in 2024. They've lost the majority. They did not have a red wave. They have not had the outcome of the election that they kept predicting they would have. And why? It's because they keep taking things away from everyone. And slowly but surely, people are realizing what they're doing. Now, Republicans, it's taking them a longer time to realize. Some of them finally figured out what was going on when they overturned Roe v. Wade. They finally said, oh, shit. No, please don't do that because I take birth control and I'm afraid that this is going to happen. Or I, as a mother, still want these protections in place for my daughter, whatever it might be. Or there are some men, Republican men, who are seeing the advantage of just having basic healthcare out there for mothers, because we know that as soon as you get pregnant, boom, that's it. They do not support you after that. You know, George Carlin said, if you're pre-K or pre-birth, you're good, right? You're pre-K, you're fucked, right? As soon as you're born, they do not want anything to do with you. They want you to grow up. They want you to enlist in the military, and then that's it. You die, up, thoughts and prayers. You die in a school because you get shot, up, thoughts and prayers. You went to a grocery store or a synagogue or a mosque or a church or a rec center or a park or a movie theater, whatever it might be. Oh, you know what? Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. You know what? Because at the end of the day, they know if they take away these things, that no, after a certain point, they're going to realize that people are demoralized, they're downtrodden, their will and their to survive is just like, oh, fine, I'll just accept whatever's left. But we can never get to that point. That is why 2024 is so important. We can't let ourselves get to a point where the Republican Party, MAGA, the GOP, is able to take those things away so far to a point where we're not able to recover. And again, we've seen these things happen as they've stripped away certain things. We see the effects happen almost instantly or within a year or so. To re-enable, to re-regulate all these things, it takes time. But the Republican Party doesn't care. They'll take it away from you. And they'll take it away from their own constituents. And that's the most fucked up part. They'll take it away from their constituents and say, you voted for us in office and you helped us push this thing that we said that you knew, or rather, that we said that you needed. And as soon as that thing is put in place, then those Republican constituents, the people who voted for them, lose their very right for whatever it might be. You know, just go down the list. So one other thing I wanted to bring up is Ben Shapiro, right? Because we know that on a lighter note, we'll talk about this. Ben Shapiro decided to make a rap song with the guy. It's just not good, guys. I'm going to do a what was that on it because it's so unbearably cringy. But the one thing I want to wrap up with Benny Johnson is that these people are so just out there. They are not attached to reality. They believe these crazy, insane conspiracies. At any point, remember this, at any point something goes wrong for the Republican Party, which typically is the result of their own action, they blame everyone else. They go, "Oh no, it was this. It was the Democrats. It was the deep state. It was George Soros. It was this. It was, globalists. It was, whatever anti-Semitic remark they want to make." But really, it's because it's the result of their action. And again, Roe v. Wade being an example of that. It's going to come back and hit them right in the face. Now, Ben Shapiro, again, I can only play a little bit because I'm going to get flagged for this. So we're going to play a little snippet, and then we'll talk about it. Oh, my God. Ben Shapiro, world's #1 rapper. Shut the fuck up, man. All right, hold on. Let's see if we can find this. No, here we go. Okay.
Call me offensive, controversial. It's only 2 genders, boys and girls. They can't cancel my message because I'm the biggest independent rapper in the whole freaking world.
Okay, so that's, just to give you an idea, that's how it starts, okay?
I don't care if I offend you.
Let's see if I can find this.
Let's just keep it real, facts. Don't care how you feel, man.
He's like this guy looks like the Temu version, because Temu is like the new wish.com. I feel like he's like he's trying to be like Machine Gun Kelly, right? Like he's trying to be like MGK. I just want to see.
Did this for fun. All my people download this. Let's get a Billboard #1.
Okay. All right. I'll stop. I just wanted to give you an idea of what this is this cringy. Okay, I just don't. Okay, you got this, right? You got Fellatio Blow, or Forgiato Blow, as he calls himself, the worst rapper name of all time. You have him rapping, and then Marjorie Taylor Greene in a music video. You have who else do you have? You've got Kid Rock, right? You've got Vivek Ramaswamy trying to do his best impression of Eminem. Eminem's like, stop playing my music. Here's a cease and desist. You've got Marjorie Taylor Greene at one point, she made that video with Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre was like, don't you ever let that song out of your mouth again. Keep my song out your motherfucking mouth. Who else do you have? There's a few others. A lot of them are crazy. They really believe these insane conspiracies about sex trafficking, which, by the way, turns out that the person who was sex trafficking, if people remember the Sound of Freedom, right, which is partly a made-up story about a guy who took credit for saving these children. But not only that, but it turns out that people in the organization, executive level people, were also using and taking advantage of women that they were supposedly saving from trafficking. So they themselves participated in the trafficking. Oh my God. What was the thing that we were just talking about earlier? Oh, that's right. Projection, confession. These are the people who scream the loudest. These are the people who are doing the very thing that they complain about. These are the people who are just straight up trying to protect themselves by casting out someone else. They're trying to point their finger in hopes. It's like the hot dog. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. I want to give people an idea of what this is. This is what it is. Let's see. If people ever watch I Think You Should Leave, then you'll know what I'm talking about here. This is the very example. It's the perfect example of what Republicans are. Okay? This is the Republican Party to a T. If anyone's seen this sketch from I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson on Netflix, I highly recommend it. He also, I think he just won an Emmy, by the way. But the key line here is, we're all just trying to find out who did this. Now, to lead up to this, he drives a Wienermobile or a car through the retail shop, this clothing store. And everyone's like, oh my God. All of a sudden he pops up in there and he's like, oh, we're all just trying to find out who did this. And this is the Republican Party. They're just trying to find out who caused women to all of a sudden be upset, or that states were voting against their hopes and desires of restricting abortion and banning it. These are the people who, are causing an issue at the border and unwilling to then say, oh, you know what? We will accept your policy, your bill. We will work with you, President Biden, to improve what's happening at the border. But they won't. And so as a result, they say, oh, the border's getting worse. We are all trying to find out who did this. They're the ones who did this. They're the ones who stripped away rights. They're the ones who overturned Roe v. Wade. They're the ones who are trying to get rid of education. They're the ones who took away Obamacare. They're the ones who took away protections. They're the ones who continue to strip away regulations. It just fully encompasses the Republican Party. We're all trying to find out who did this. Them being the cause of that problem. So if you haven't seen this sketch, you can also just Google it or go to YouTube and do hot dog, I Think You Should Leave, and watch it. It's very good. But this is an example, and a perfect example. Whenever you need to describe the Republican Party, you can just rely on this meme that came out of it. Because the Republican Party will point and scream and shout and kick and whine and cry and all that stuff about how there's some problem out there and how it's the Democrats' problem, right? I mean, and a perfect example. And I'll play the clip for you. The Republican Party, and again, I think I said this last week, but it's so important to emphasize and reiterate for everyone who ever says the Republican Party is the one who fixes the problems from the Democrats. Republicans never want to show that they have worked with Democrats. They want to go on the record to say they rejected every single thing the Democrats brought to the table. And if we go back, we have to remember there was the Inflation Reduction Act, there was the CHIPS Act, you had multiple bills that were brought forward by Joe Biden and the Democrats. The problem is that Republicans never wanted to work with them because it was on the record, right? The receipts are there. You voted against it. And then they go and they campaign and they say, we voted against that shit. We didn't want to support it because that's socialism. It's not, but okay. And there's many other things that are share socialistic properties. Like, do you know that when you pay into the toll, what do you think that's for? You're paying in for a fund to help repair the highway. You don't see what's going on here. You don't see the fact that you're paying for everyone else to use this thing. And that's just one example. That's just one example, right? When you pay taxes or when you pay into utilities of some sort, like you're sharing certain costs, like you live in an apartment building or complex. There are multiple things in society where you pay into it and it's a benefit for everyone, right? Clean up the streets. You pay the salaries of government employees. Do you think that these do not share socialistic properties? Do you think that these aren't things where we all pay into a pot and then we all benefit from it? And you have these Republicans who say, like Lauren Boebert the other day, she's like, I got into politics. I was in office to make sure that America doesn't turn into a socialist communist, which is like, do you guys even know what the definitions are? Can you even tell me the difference between those two? Or when they're like Marxism, they throw oh my God, it's like Marxism, socialism, communism. You know, they throw out China in there. They go, China, and they always want to blame and say the Democrats are going to turn the U.S. into this. Are you kidding me? You really think that we're going to overturn capitalism? No, that is not going to happen. Okay. So much of society is dependent on fucking capitalism. We are built on a system that if it were to change, it would take many years to do so. The idea that Republicans think, oh, the Democrats are going to turn it into socialistic. Are you serious? You really, oh my God. It's just like, it's so frustrating to think that this is what people go out and say. They're like, oh man, it's going to become Marxist. How long do you think that would take to happen? Are you honestly going to tell me that free market capitalism is just going to fold up overnight? That it's all of a sudden over the weekend, it's going to change? I just don't. There are moments where I'm like, you all are so dumb. And not you guys, but what I'm talking about is you all being Republicans are so dumb that you cannot see what is happening before your very eyes. You cannot see a group of people who do not represent you, who do not have your best interest at heart, who do not care about you, who do not want to do the job that they said they were going to do, that you hired them to do by voting for them. This is one of those things where you just have to, it's really mind-boggling to look at this and say, you guys never accepted the truth that Republicans were lying to your face. Instead, they'll tell you it's socialism and it's communism and it's Marxism and it's whatever other ism they can think of that they never knew before. It's like when it comes to your rights, right? They're like, oh man, or like the amendments, right? They're like, oh, First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fifth Amendment. That's all they can do. Like, they don't know. They only recently learned what the Fifth Amendment was because of Donald Trump and his family. Even so, if you were to ask someone to say the First Amendment or the Second Amendment off the top of their head, right? Boom, right off the dome. Just like, what's the First Amendment? What's the Second Amendment? You would, if you ask MAGA what that is, I guarantee that all will be like, oh, freedom of speech. Yeah, well, there's a little bit more to it than that. Oh man, right to bear arms. A little bit more to do it than that. You know, there's other words in that sentence there that really matter. So when you see these people, and I guess they most recently learned about they know the 25th, right? Because obviously Trump almost got replaced when he had COVID. And then they've got the 14th, but they probably only knew the 14th with like Section 3, right? Which most recently was applied in terms of Donald Trump being removed from the ballot in Colorado and Maine. These are people who claim to know, who are, I'm a constitutionalist. I'm born and bred red fucking American blood. I'm an American and I'll fight for my freedoms. And it's like, but also, I guarantee that a person who came to this country and just got their citizenship knows more about this country. They could probably tell you every capital and state in the map. They could probably tell you how actual elections work. They could probably tell you what the Constitution says, what the amendments say, what the Declaration of Independence said. Like, these are all things, you know, they could tell you who presidents were, you know, instead of you trying to say that Benjamin Franklin was a president, which he wasn't. They probably know more about the history of the U.S. than they do. And that is sad to think about. That the people who claim to love this country the most, or claim to know the most about it, my family was born here. No, okay. No, your family arrived here and then they took land and they set up shop. That's what they did. They weren't born here, okay? Your family came over, stole some shit, killed some people, gave them diseases because they didn't have immunities, and then say, well, we're already here, so this is ours now. That is the Republican Party. That is MAGA. MAGA believing that they are completely entitled to whatever they have, entitled to the things that are around them. When really, to Handy Girl's point, everyone is an immigrant, okay? Every one of us that come from somewhere else where we've lived in this country, our families had to come from somewhere. They got on a boat from Europe and went, or they came from other parts, South America, and they went up to the U.S. It's just, it's so mind-boggling. And Linthon High says, I passed my citizenship when I was 12. That's awesome. And I'm sure that you probably know more, or at least, you know, the basic person, right? And the basic person being MAGA. It's crazy. But the one thing here's the one thing I wanted to bring up before, which was this video. I think it's important to remember whenever Republicans try to claim that they're taking credit for it, and again, this is what I was saying before, is I said it last week because it's true, but it's important to emphasize every single time. When Republicans try to say, hey, this bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, or the Infrastructure Act, or the CHIPS Act, even though all of these things are literal investments into the country, okay? Literally investing money to make sure that the roads and the highways are safe and that they don't have potholes and that people can drive on them, which in turn is a domino effect to make sure that your cars remain good and not damaged because of broken roadways, so that later on you don't have to get brand new tires or an undercarriage area or a new windshield. Like, there is a reason why you invest in infrastructure, the foundation, right? Because if you have a strong foundation, everything from there is strong. If you invest in infrastructure, roads, highways, tolls, bridges, rivers, all of these things, then you invest in other things as a result. There's a domino effect. There's a fucking waterfall effect that happens. If you do these things, then these things work as a result, or they're not as damaged, or they don't break. Again, just the car example is on its own. If you don't drive your car on broken roads, then you won't have a broken car, which then won't cost you thousands of dollars to repair. It's really common sense, but MAGA has a hard time of understanding what that means and how just by a little bit of an investment that you can make a long-term beneficial impact. So the one thing I really wanted to bring up was how Republicans like to take credit. And this is how you know that the bills, the acts, the investment in America is working under Joe Biden. It's because Republicans, and I've tweeted about this, I've talked about it on the show. This is a perfect example of when you encounter some Republican taking credit for something that they didn't do, you need to call them out. And this is an example of that very thing. So, this is just what he's going to go through a few of these. But again, Republicans vote no because it's under Biden. Biden can't have a win, even though he is winning. You know, Donald Trump, you're going to get sick and tired of winning. Okay, we're going to win so much. You're going to get sick and tired of it. I don't think so, man. Look at the stock market. Look at the S&P 500. Look at how our economy is booming. And again, direct examples of Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and all these other industries where they're investing in America. Hey, we're touring, so we're going to hire people to work the stadium, to work the concession, to work the parking, to work the security. It is a multiplier. It's a domino effect. It hits every industry outside of that in various ways. Lodging, it's for entertainment, it's for lighting, sound, cinematography, people who are filming it, photography, people who are taking it. You've got publications who are broadcasting it. There is no way that you can actively look at these things and say they do not have a positive effect, because that is what they do. That is what investing in America does. And Republicans don't want it. They don't want it. So here's one example, right? I think there's 3 in this interview here where she doesn't want to accept the fact that she actually voted against those things, but then later no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. She's like every other Republican. If they have the opportunity to do so, and it ever comes from Joe Biden as in his name on an administration, or it comes from a Democrat that proposed or was a sponsor on that bill, who wrote that bill, they won't do it. They won't do it. I'm telling you, that he's going to go through it again and again. And he reveals that not only did she vote against it, but the idea that she's not only voting against, but she's like, oh, I don't remember what I did. But I can tell you right now that whenever I have the opportunity to bring money to my district, I do it. No, you don't. It's like Family Feud. Can we see it on the board? No, you voted against it. No. You don't need to ask your staff, because you know exactly what you did. You voted against it, and then you took credit for it. You voted against it, and then you took credit for it. You thought you could get by. And I got to say, this reporter, this journalist right here is exactly what people should be doing. That's what I try to do with this show. That's what I do with the scripted show that I do, either here on my channel or in Midas Touch. I try to make sure that I'm mocking, because, again, James Carville, and I'm going to do a what was that on James Carville, because he's just fucking going after Donald Trump right now, and it's amazing to see. And he brings up a good point. He says, Michelle Obama, as great as she is, she says, when they go low, we go high. And that's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. But however, when they go low, you go lower. And that's not to say like, oh, we're going to be violent or anything, but I'm going to mock them. I'm going to make fun of them. I'm going to make a what was that on her and every other Republican and how they have failed this country. For anyone who watched the show Arrow on CW or is a fan of the Arrow comic books, you have failed this city. You have failed this country. That is what they do. They fail you. They fail me. They fail everyone, because it's all about owning the libs. It's all about supporting Donald Trump. And then when it comes to like, hey, oh my God, Infrastructure Act and other things are investing in this economy, in this country, and we're going to make sure that people who did not have internet access all of a sudden have internet access now, broadband internet, which by the way it's, you know, whether they had dial-up or they didn't, then they're getting broadband, which again, broadband is behind of what's happening right now, right? It's still behind, but it's a faster connection to get internet and information to you. And who knows, maybe by having the internet, it'll have a positive effect on educating and fact-checking some certain people out there that live in red districts, in red states, who will just blindly accept what they see on Fox News. Other people could take the internet and go the opposite and go right down the rabbit hole and really lead into conspiracies. But the idea that investing in our country can have a positive effect. It's a net positive. And she over here is like, oh no, I got to consult my team. Oh no, I got to remember what I did. You know exactly what you did.
Look at the $40 million that I have brought to this
Where did it come from?
community. Aren't you proud of me? Aren't you proud of the $40 million that I brought?
I'm not proud of you. I'm proud of the Democrats. I'm proud of Joe Biden. I'm proud of the people that supported and campaigned to make these things happen. These projects, these programs. I'm not proud of you. Why the fuck should I be proud of you? You're taking credit for someone else. It's like when you do a group project in school and you've got the one person who is working while the other 2 or 3 people are joking around in the background. So then you go up to present the thing during class and you ask the questions and then boom, someone has asked the question that wasn't ready for it. That's this. That's a direct example of this, an analogy of this is these people are the ones that slacked off and didn't want to participate. But then when it comes to getting a grade, they're all about it. They're all about accepting the A or the B or whatever it might be. Those people are the ones that are Republicans right now. They are the ones who say, well, yeah, I'll take the credit. I'll take the good grade. And it doesn't matter if it was last cycle. Does not matter if it was last cycle. You cannot use that as an example. This bullshit of, oh, that was last cycle. No, that's old. It's 2024. New year, new me. No. You had a record. You voted for things, or rather voted against things. And now you want all the credit because they're working. And again, I said this last week. I'll say this again today. And I said it even in this tweet right here. Another example of how you know President Biden's policies are working. Republicans keep trying to take credit for things they voted against. Republicans do not believe in America. They're not America first. They do not invest in America. The only party actually investing in America are the Democrats. Those are the people voting for our future. Our future. And that's a concept that Republicans never want to think about. The future. They live in the past. Remember, they always say things like, man, just like the good old days. What do you mean by that? I mean, I know what you mean by that. And I'm sure that you're trying to have a little bit of a dog whistle here, but I know exactly what you mean when you say, oh, the good old days. Let's just bring it back to how it used to be. You know, it was never really about race and it wasn't about race and certain things. It wasn't about segregation or bigotry or this and that. Like, these are all things that Republicans are always like, oh, we want to go back. And it's even people like this, who is a representative who is from the Latino community, who doesn't want to invest in the land of opportunity in America, investing in education, job opportunities. This is someone who, as soon as, and I hate when I see this gatekeeping that happens in any community, really. But in a community where you are not white and you were able to succeed for whatever reason, but as soon as you're able to turn around and reach out and give that other person a helping hand, someone from your own community, whether it's like me from the Latino community or someone from the Black community or someone from the Asian community or whatever it might be. If you are from that group, and you do not reach your hand out behind you and say, let me lift you up. Remember, A rising tide lifts all boats, okay? If you are from that community, even if you're white too, but if you're from that community and you do not reach back and say, I wouldn't have had this opportunity if it were not for this thing, then they go, oh, you know what? They like, oh, it's sometimes they'll even like reach out their hand and go, up, psych, joke's on you. And someone like this, right? Representative Salazar is not going to reach back. And you know this right here. She votes against these things, against programs that would not only help, the infrastructure of her community, but also the education, the job opportunities, the healthcare. These are all things that, again, there's a multiplier effect. And when you have these things, healthier people means less cost on the economy or less cost in society, especially when it comes to medical expenses and bills. You're educated, which means that you have a better opportunity, which means that you have more educated people coming to this area. Diverse opinions, diverse qualifications. It's just, it just boggles my mind to see people like this, like Representative like Salazar, who goes, you know what? I got the helping hand and you won't get it. This person, you are like me, you're not going to get it. And it hurts to see that type of stuff. Because I know that not everyone is like that, but the Republican Party is. They'll go, oh, pull yourself out by your bootstraps. Well, guess what? You had a helping hand, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. You either had the money, the opportunity, you had the connection, you networked, whatever it might be. So this idea of like, I did it on my own. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And another example is this idea that they're going to say, oh, well, I did it on my own. Well, how do you know that you did it on your own? Or is it the idea that you benefited from programs that were created under Democratic administrations or majorities? You got to think about that. Republicans want to say that they never took a helping hand. They never took help. They never asked for anything. They never took advantage of some connection they had. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. Somebody took a risk. They went out on a limb and helped you out. Whether you know it or not, or whether you want to acknowledge or not, somebody helped someone and as a result helped you. And Republicans don't want to play that game. They'll take the help and then they won't give it back out. Right? They'll take it and they'll leave and they'll go, good luck. And then the rest of us will have to fend for ourselves and work together to build ourselves up. So it's just crazy. So let's listen to the last 20 seconds here of her try to make up why she didn't really vote or doesn't remember that she voted.
Remember right now, but just look.
I don't
let's
really
look at the
remember right
Americas
now.
Act,
What do you
which
mean
is
you don't
what
really
I'm going to
remember
vote.
right
So
now?
you
don't want to explain why you vote
really
against
cannot.
things.
I mean, right now, and I'm not trying to be a politician. There's so many.
Yes, she is. She is trying to be 100% a politician. She does not want to acknowledge the fact that she voted against this thing and is now trying to take credit for it. All of these critics, these naysayers, these people said, nah, it's not going to work. Oh, that's socialism. That's going to leave our country into the ground. Again, I ask you, do you think that introducing social programs like this, ones that grow our economy and our society and are beneficial and have great impacts on it, do you think that it's all of a sudden going to turn a country one way or the other? You'd have to have, in order to do that, you'd have to burn the whole thing down and you have to start from scratch. But our country is so embedded within a capitalistic structure, you will not be able to overturn it. You can introduce socialistic programs that feed off each other within a capitalistic structure, but you're never going to say, oh, you know what, America is all of a sudden communist or all of a sudden socialist or if it's all of a sudden Marxist. That is never going to happen. And the fear mongering and the fake outrage that Republicans have over this idea that women like Beyonce, Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift, or even a couple of, you got Travis Kelce. They think that, and they know this to be true, is that if you give these people true equality, that it's going to come back and bite them in the ass. If you give everyone true equality, like founding fathers, said, and Republicans love to quote, then they're going to realize that they're going to be out of the job like that. If you really allowed people to be educated on topics and you didn't gatekeep and you supported them and you wanted to make sure that they were educated and they had proper health care and they were skilled financially and they were able to go out and get jobs, you would find that those people would never vote Republican ever again. Never. Maybe independent, but they would never vote Republican based on the policies that Republicans have. I mean, just look at trickle-down economics. Reagan and his fucking just terrible policies that had a negative impact. You look at the income inequality from Reagan's administration. You can actually go back to Nixon and look at it too. But really, it's when you have Republican administrations that put in policies and rules that strip things away and benefit the rich is how we ended up in a situation like we are now. And Democrats are working, and they're doing it, but they're working on it, and it's taking time to improve the system that we have here. And we see it again and again. And it's the very thing that these Republicans try to take credit for. And that's how you know that it's working. Because they want to take credit because it's helping their constituents, and it's too late. They can't go out and bash something that's working, and they can't bash something that their constituents, their voters, their community is saying, oh my God, this helped me in this way. This benefited my life in this way. They can't do it. That would be the dumbest thing. So as a result, they have to go in and say, oh yeah, here's this big fat check for 4 million, 10 million, 30 million, whatever it might be. And that's what she's trying to do right here. She's trying to take credit for something she voted against now that it's working. Because democratic social programs work. When you invest in America and you invest in the American people, crazy, it works. When you stimulate the economy, but with opportunities and money, it works. It's, oh my God, it's almost like there's like an economic theory behind it. It's insane. So yes, they will continue to do this again and again and again. And we should, you and I and everyone else, reporters, journalists, and so on, should do this all the time on the campaign trail. Every point. Donald Trump has previously said he wants the economy to crash. He wants the border to be open. He wants violence in the streets. They want those things because if they don't have those problems, they can't point and distract and create fake outrage to then claim that they fixed it. Because we all know that what they do is they stoke the fire. They need those things as a distraction so that Democrats don't look so good. They don't look so well in their success and in policies. And that is why Mike Johnson, Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, and every one of these other MAGA Republicans out there are unwilling to have Joe Biden sign a bill and funding and resources and technology and equipment and all these things to go to the southern border. They can't have it. Because if he has it, that's another fucking talking point on the campaign that he gets to take credit for. COVID, economy, and border. Those pillars right there are unbeatable. COVID, healthcare related. Economy, financially related. Border, security related. You can get those staples in, those pillars, unbeatable. It is unbeatable. You will never be able to come after someone if you said, we had a strong economy, a strong border, and a strong improving healthcare system. He opened the economy back up. He made sure that we had vaccines. He made sure to improve certain access. Remember, if you have those pillars, health, finances, and security, it is something that you cannot beat. You cannot beat those things. And that is what they're afraid of. If he gets all three, it's done. I mean, it's already done for Trump. But if Joe Biden gets all three on this, Trump is finished. And that's why Trump can't have it. Because it's the very thing that Republicans have cried about. Oh, the prices are high and inflation and this and gas price and grocery stores and this. Boom. Okay, well, look, stock market's great. Look at your 401k. Look at your portfolio. Look at your pension fund. Oh, COVID is shut down, lockdown. Look at what we did under Joe Biden. Accessibility to vaccines, no masks anymore. We made sure that there were certain protocols to make people safe again. You can live life how you did before. And if he gets the border win, then you find out that Republicans have nothing to campaign on because they're always talking about the border, money, education, they don't really care about. But that's the problem. And that is why Donald Trump doesn't want it. And that is why Republicans don't want to give it up. But you and I and everyone else needs to continue to expose these people for either taking credit for Joe Biden's wins or calling out Republicans for not willing or being unable or unwilling to work on the things that they continue to complain about. They continue to bitch and moan about. Remember, we need to call those things out. You voted against it. You said this. You told me this was a problem. And as soon as Democrats said, great, here's a solution, you said, no, we don't want it. That is how you know that Joe Biden is winning. Republicans are now getting cornered. They're getting pushed up against the wall, and they're going to have to deliver sometime soon. And if they don't, their constituents are going to primary them. They're going to vote them out. Whether or not they vote for a Democrat, they're going to vote for another Republican who claims that they're going to do, they're going to claim they're going to drain the swamp. They're not do party as usual, kind of politics as usual. They're going to say they want term limits, but they're not really going to go for term limits because as soon as they get in power, they don't want to give it up. Look at Lauren Boebert. Lauren Boebert wants there to be long enough so that she can get her pension. Talk about feeding off the system while also complaining about socialism. It's insane. So the lesson to be learned here, as I sign off for the night, I went a little bit over, but I wanted to share this video, is the idea that whenever you see people do this, call them out. Whenever you see this border talk, and I'll do a what was that on this, call them out. A person who did a master class on this, I highly recommend you go look at it, is Gavin Newsom. He is doing a master class on narrative and messaging when it comes to the border, when it comes to the economy, Bidenomics. He is doing the work to support Harris, Biden, and the rest of the Democratic Party. He's doing his part. He's going out. He's doing interviews. He's talking about, he's debunking all of these things in which Republicans claim whatever. He is out there, again, a master class on messaging and narrative. The guy is very smart. He's very witty. He's very charismatic. He's got the riz. He's out there doing the job. And in 2028, I guarantee he'll probably run. Because I think he's like 40, 50 something. He is 56. So he'll be 60 by the time that he runs. I very much assume that he's going to run, and I fully support this guy in running in 2028. He's going to be a powerhouse. He runs a country, a state, California, that really is its own economy. And Republicans are always like, oh man, that woke socialist California. Well, it's generating a lot of wealth for the country. And you can thank the federal socialist economy and how we share money and taxes and things like that. You should thank blue states for the red state benefits that you get. So anyway, with that being said, I want to say thank you guys for coming or hanging out with me for a little longer than normal, but I just want to remind everyone to continue to push against this type of stuff that you see online. You see these idiots like Salazar and various others that are like, hey, can't wait for the can't wait for the money to come in for whatever program. Well, you can thank Democrats. You can thank Joe Biden, even though you voted against it. You can't come in at the end and take credit for something that you were against. So anyway, with that being said, I want to say thank you all for hanging out with me. I'll be back on tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll probably go back to an hour format, but today was a little, I just wanted to share some thoughts. If you are on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, if you want to join and be a member to help support, contribute, donate to this show, remember, it's a one-person team. It is me, myself, and I. I'm here in front of the camera, behind the camera, and all the things in between. If you're on Twitch, make sure to follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/IamGabeSanchez. If you are on Discord, we've got chats going there. I release episodes early if you're part of the Patreon, and also just having live chats that happen there as well. And of course, I want to thank the moderators. Wonderful job. You guys do an amazing job, amazing job behind the scenes, keeping the conversation going and driving the engagement that we have. Again, without the moderators, this show would be nothing. So I just want to give love and support to them. And also, everyone, please do so as well. If you want to support the show financially and you want to give to the show, you can go to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/IamGabeSanchez. The money that you donate and contribute to the show will go towards hiring a team. That's my goal for this year, is to hire a team where I can get a writer and an editor. I'm hoping to improve those things so that I can focus more on creating content. If I can get scripts earlier, if I can get editors to work on stuff, that means I can make more content and also, be more available to you guys. So with that, that is what I'm trying to accomplish this year, 2024. This year, the goal is to hire at least a writer and an editor, or one or the other, to help alleviate the workload. Because again, I'm researching, I'm writing, I'm filming, I'm editing, and then I'm also doing this show. So I'm trying to package everything together for all of you. So I want to say thank you so much for supporting me in everything you guys do. And I know that there are a few people. We had Crystal Waters. Thank you so much. Thanks, Gabe, for keeping this old lady from going insane. I appreciate you being a member. You've been a member for 2 months. We got JD Christie. Thank you. $5 super sticker. Awesome. We've got Samantha. And do you think Republicans will be successful in impeaching Mayorkas? I don't know, but we can talk about it tomorrow. I don't know. I think it's a mixed bag, honestly. I don't think that they'll ever be successful in the thing, but if they do it, it's the same issue with the border. They're trying to blame him for the border that they caused. It's a problem that they caused, and they're trying to now point fingers. Now, what's going to happen if they actually impeach Mayorkas and then nothing improves? They're going to say, "Oh, we got to impeach this other person." But they got to look in the mirror and point at themselves, because they're the problem. Kim P, keep it up, Gabe. Thank you so much. We've got Lynn Thought hi here. And thanks for all you do, Gabe. Keep up the phenomenal work. #vote blue. Thank you so much. And then also Emergency Remedial Truth, a member for 3 months. Thank you so much. Thank you. Woohoo. I am an OG original Gabester. Well, without you guys, I wouldn't be here. I'd just be talking into the ether alone and hoping that somebody would come by. But yeah, so I want to thank you all for contributing, for hanging out with me, for engaging in the chat. You guys are great. So yeah, until tomorrow, this has been another episode of What Was That? And again, if you want to contribute to any of the places, you can do it on YouTube, you can do it on Ko-Fi, and also you can do it on Patreon. There's also some merch and other perks there that you get that you don't get anywhere else. So if you want to, check it out.